Welcome to the World Poetry Cafe, Adult Tent. I've got a selection of poems to read for you, and they're from this book. It's called, as you can see, Voices in My Head. I'm Nick Toczek. The book came out about a month ago. This is my second reading from it. I recorded one a couple of days ago, and this is my second recording for it. So I shall just begin with a poem that was written in Spain. It's called Week, because I spent a week in Spain, not because the poem is weak, I hope. I was touring schools. It was a really hectic week in southern Spain. Here we go. Within my Spanish week I keep a poet who's in need of sleep, a culture based on meals and talk, thick legs of ham and sides of pork, and ensuite rooms with ocean views, and earthquakes on the evening news, and pupils into magic tricks, and days that start at 5 or 6, and concrete houses painted white, and moonlight on the sea at night, and goats round tumble-down farmsteads, and cheese that smells of cattle sheds, and carting all my bags about, and problems I can do without, and Spanish words I can't recall, and I can't read this bloody scrawl. A hired car, me at the wheel. In Rocketas, an ace French meal. Unfriendly staff in late-night bars. And painted dancers, bulls, guitars. And coastal roads that cling to cliffs. Reception desks and hotel lifts. Kilos for miles, euros for quids. And parents buying books for kids. And olive groves, fruit trees and vines, all planted neatly out in lines. And English expats who complain that Spanish people live in Spain. There you are. I was in a bar with a lot of expats in it, and that was the topic of conversation, that Spain would be fine if it didn't have so many Spanish people in it. I left the bar. How offensive is that, huh? Anyway, next poem. I'm just reading them in order from the book. So the next poem is about the death of my mum. I've got 2 poems to read you about that. Here's the first of them. In detail. Beached beside the Beached beside the hospice bed of my dying mum, I water the wilting flowers she's been brought, saving them because I can't save her. Details. 93, has brain cancer, likes yogurt and chocolate. In this warm spring, the garden beyond her window boasts hosts of daffodils, the symbol of Marie Curie nursing. Above them, depleted bird feeders draw more visitors than do the dying. Details. Wood pigeons, coal tits, sparrows, blue tits, 1 magpie. Tonight, my mum is restless. There are long pauses in her breathing. Morphine only reduces her pain. I hold her hand, talk to her. She hardly hears or knows me now, stirs, grunts, shifts her limbs, gasps. Details. The distance between us is measured in shared helplessness. I dampen a sponge, dab her dry lips and mouth, rearrange her covers. Tomorrow I'll bring in bird food and restock those feeders. Tomorrow, as beaks fill beyond her window, my mum will probably die. These are the details. A lighter poem. The poem I wrote about you. I didn't write one. I actually wrote two. And then there were others. I wrote quite a few. I tried to keep count, but the numbers just grew. So those were the poems I wrote about you, because I'm a poet and that's what we do. And when they'd been written, I sent them to you. The post office told me that they'd all got through, which I knew and you knew and they knew was true. Anonymous poems from someone you knew, though you hardly cared that you didn't know who. You asked a few friends, but they hadn't a clue. You got lots of poems, mine just joined the queue. Yet such stuff was something from which you withdrew. The way that some people are frightened of flu, or spiders, or clowns, or what cannibals do. You never read poems, not even haiku. Averse to all verse, your antipathy grew. Some people, they're like that, and you joined their crew. And anyhow, you'd other things to pursue, like Pernod and pretzels and trips to Peru. So off on your travels, you bid us adieu. As they say in France, parlez-vous entre nous. Those poems, unread and long rendered taboo, were missed off the list of what you took with you. You'd yesterday flushed the whole lot down the loo. And here's the second poem about my mum. Today my mother dies. House left bare, this theft entire. Cut the current in the wire. Quell the riot, hush the choir. Watch my maker thus expire. Cancer and her age conspire to deflate her like a tire. All is swallowed in this mire. Panic making her perspire. What more must this time require? Symptoms steal her whole empire. Wisdom, passion, wit and fire. Body losing occupier. See her weaken, see her tire, see her pass beyond desire. Process cruel, so slow it's dire. Sod you, God of mercy, liar. So, yeah, my name's Nick Toczek, and I'll read some more. If you feel that you've enjoyed, I say enjoyed, I don't know after that poem, but if you feel this has been a good performance, please feel free to donate something. The same with any of the poets performing on these sites. We usually work in schools, we usually work in art centres, libraries, bookshops, whatever. All of that work has dried up at the moment during this pandemic, so it helps as well. Here's a lighter one for you as well. In a way, lighter. In a way, not. It's a scary poem. It's called Galleon. The ghost ship glides through coastal fog. A ghastly hand scrawls in the log. Have pity on us, please. High scraps of sail hang torn to shreds, and rigging rots, the ropes in threads on flat and windless seas, and wet weeds clamber up the wreck, and crabs crawl cruel across the deck, legs bent like broken knees. The air is bad, the silence worse, no shanty sung, no sailor's curse, since thirst and since disease. Skeleton crew, it's truly that the bare-boned captain, men and cat might shake like rattled keys. But treasure glitters in the hold, and greed goes gladly after gold to trap men by degrees. So hooked by hoard and its reward, the ship finds more to lure aboard, like mice pursuing cheese. But once they're there, they have to stay. With no way off, they waste away, or in the cold fog freeze. Thus this galleon slowly goes on one vast voyage no human chose, and years pass like a breeze. I stayed in a hotel in Wembley in London, and the hotel was built above a tube line, and you could hear all night tube trains, presumably not in the middle of the night carrying passengers, or after the middle of the night, I don't know, but they were moving about, and every so often you couldn't just hear them, the room actually physically shook. And I thought about other rooms I'd been in that in one way or another shook. Vibrating hotel room, Wembley. So all these things I describe are true. From underground, we're rattled when successive tube trains snake. And I have been in rooms like these, and I have felt them shake. In Zante, while on holiday, a genuine earthquake. In shops on streets, where laden trucks accelerate or brake. In Hong Kong, 20 floors from earth, when wind shook me awake. And when men drilled and dug our street with drain repairs to make. In halls where choired voices sang Jerusalem by Blake. In Derry when that bomb went off to prove God's peace was fake. On the verge of demolition when walls and ceilings flake. When sex between the two of us set ripples on love's lake. When words were shouted, doors were slammed, with lies and truths at stake. When while one slept, the other wept, for small betrayal's sake. And older since, we wear the scars, and often feel them ache. With hearts once clear as window glass, now somehow grown opaque. And we'll return to rooms like these, and then with grief they'll shake, when we, like brittle ornaments, will tremble, fall and break. Then we'll be laid below these rooms by suits who undertake. These bones, my love, will rattle when above men mow and rake. There you are. I do a lot of travelling around the world, working in schools, or did do up until this pandemic. Here's a poem called Dusk in Bangkok. While day shuts down its leaden heats like taking breath through winding sheets, the air's that thick it clogs these streets as blood strains veins fat blocked by meats. When last light dies, its stilled heart beats hoarse latitudes which hold whole fleets. Birds hush, work stops, brief life retreats. Think Chatterton, think Shelley, Keats. Mentions there of 3 other poets. And that leads neatly into a poem called The Pub Poets. Used to do a lot of readings in pubs up until this pandemic. Now in this country at least all the pubs are shut and people don't gather there anymore. The Pub Poets. It's a joke based on the fact that when there are poetry readings in pubs, some people are keen on them, but the regulars sometimes aren't. So here we go, The Pub Poets. Most people think that poetry's self-pity masquerading as art while it glances in the mirror and perceives itself as smart. Most people think of the poet as a donkey that pulls a creaking cart with hee-haw mouth and lips too thick and teeth too far apart. Most people think silken ears and love-me eyes might captivate a heart, but when the donkey gets its poems out, who gives a flying fart? Most people think when poets come and the jukebox stops and they're about to start, of somewhere else they ought to be, so they get up and depart. This is a poem called Neighbourhood Watch. I'm wholly at home to the stride of our street, to lamplight through night and my echoing feet. The wind bite all winter while waiting for heat. Insipid December sees colours deplete. We line up at bus stops like slabs of raw meat, coat collars upturned against rain, snow and sleet. How brutal our brickwork, how cold our concrete. The cut of each corner where thoroughfares meet. That death in the park, the memorial seat. Soon January, February deepen defeat, with promises broken and tasks incomplete, their days doused in darkness we cannot delete. Leaf waste clutters gutters like troops in retreat. Through gates, gardens wait. They've got grass to groom neat. Come April, we're forking in compost and peat, but green shoots and marriage, both fruit bittersweet. We've only each other and slugs to mistreat. From May we lay poisons, we bicker, we cheat. We've weeds, and we've wives, and we've children to beat. Yet June, July, August prove fickle, move fleet. Their mythical sunshine a shallow conceit. While autumn hosts harvests from apples to wheat. Our neighbours close curtains to keep life discreet. They've stains of their own on both carpet and sweet. This is called Asylum Seekers and Refugees. Go shut your shameful voice, mate, your narky, nimby noise, mate. Arrivals don't rejoice, mate, they don't come here from choice, mate. Try leaving home with note, pal, but a bundle and your coat, pal. Then crowd onto some boat, pal, until it fails to float, pal. Or barefoot, mile on mile, bud, just walking single file, bud, and hungry all the while, bud, and thirsty, filthy, vile, bud. Footsore with stomach cramp, friend. Too hot, too cold, too damp, friend. Untreated like a tramp, friend, then forced into a camp, friend. So stripped of all your own, chum, you find yourself alone, chum, as all thin and flesh and bone, chum, unwanted and unknown, chum. You, numb as Forrest Gump, dude. See, just scum you want to dump, dude. You're dumb as chimp or chump, dude. As dumb as Donald Trump, dude. And this is simply called Tryst, which is a meeting point. And it's actually about the idea of after you've gone, after your death. Outside, endlessly, weather waits for us. Hangs out, high, breathing. Turns like a sleeper, tugging stubborn sheets. Rolls its urgent bulk impatiently. Under arching branches, grass blades yearn for the weight of us, as do silences for our footsteps, and sunlit walls nervously for our shadows. Indoors, a dull passion perfumes the stairwell. Contact lingers on the landing. Aching rooms shimmer with anticipation. Enduring absence is a torment which folds inward like beaching waves, asking, always asking, whether you will ever come. And this is called Freeze. Remembering how in the early hours of the frozen dark of morning late last spring, I'd heard a she-fox swing the freaky arc of her staccato shriek of a bark out there on the golf links, sharp as a gunshot, brittle as a warning. Walking home, or here in bed, I'd pause, set a trap of silence up ahead, let her shock of a voice step on it. Feel the sound, the sudden naked snap of a wire sprung. Vixens are smaller than you might imagine. And now I wonder what became of her cubs. 10-1 says they died, that dogs got them after the bus burst her head, left her dead on Killingall Road that cold 8 a.m. is in Penang. I liked Penang. There's fine food with a spicy tang on every menu in Penang. Temptation in the fruits that hang from trees in gardens in Penang. Low banks of cloud like white meringue hug sea horizons round Penang and catch the crash and flash and bang of thunderstorms above Penang. There's Zhong, there's Jiang, there's Wong, there's Wang in Chinese names found in Penang, and accent, dialect and slang enrich the street life of Penang. The Fort Cornwallis jail doors clang on gruesome tales of old Penang, back when the greedy British gang grew tea and rubber round Penang. Mosquito bite to serpent's fang, beware the wildlife in Penang. But hey, enjoy the whole shebang, and just be glad you're in Penang. Okay, nearing the end now. Do a couple more poems, I guess. See, might be time for 3. Ivory. We're off to get the ivory, with shootery and drivery and hackery, with knivery and rippery outer livery. Then packaging the ivory for smugglery and jivery, with slippery of fivery for customary connivery. And here we are, arrivery, and our time for thrivery. They're buying up the ivory like bees around a hivery. So sod your old wivery, that stuff about survivory. Let elephant take a divery, 'cause I get rich, I get rich, I get rich by bringing home the ivory. And this is the distance of night. Nights wearing dark gowns with bright brooches. Nights catching our late trains and coaches. Nights whispering while she approaches. Nights diving for catfish and loaches. Nights coming with bats, rats and roaches. Nights thieving, she burgles, she poaches. Nights passing the blame, she reproaches. Nights bringing bad dreams, which she broaches. Nights nearing, and now she encroaches. And, I think I'll end this with either 1 or 2. I'm watching the time here. Probably just the one. This is Hola. It's what somebody said to me when I was on a sunbed in Spain, somebody I didn't know. And I was just thinking about, they said hola to me. So I thought I'd write a poem using rhymes with hola. Your breakfast's granola. Your cheese, gorgonzola. Your drinks, Coca-Cola. Your headgear's a bowler. Your ice caps, a polar. You globe-trotting stroller, you've been to Angola and Hispaniola. Your Emil is Zola. You play the viola, and you're the controller of your pianola. Your Kinks song is Lola. Your old rock and roller, your panels are solar. Your bad tooth's a molar. You couldn't be droller. You pocket payola. Your mood swings bipolar. Your death is Ebola. And that's all I've got time for, a half-hour set from this book, The Voices in My Head. Thank you if you've been listening. My name's Nick Toczek, and I've really enjoyed reading this for you. Stay safe.